You want your muscle protein synthesis to exceed your muscle protein breakdown. So if it is your goal to build muscle, if you are in a caloric deficit, then you would definitely want to get... Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another Sunday Q&A. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today's question is with regard to protein consumption while on the carnivore diet. Specifically, can you have too much protein? Earlier today, I was browsing the World Carnivore Tribe group, and in that group, I saw a post from a user and they asked, is there a downside to exceeding 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight? I want to increase my satiety and drop weight I gained from overdoing the fat. This is a great question and is something that often gets brought up in these World Carnivore Tribe groups and other carnivore groups, and a lot of people often have a lot of misinformation when it comes to protein. Before I answer this, the first thing that you need to know is, number one, what is your body weight currently? And number two, what is your body fat percentage? Because if you are somebody that is currently very, very heavy, if you are severely overweight, or if you have a very, very high body fat percentage, then 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is going to be a lot more than you actually need. Let's say you are somebody that weighs 500 pounds. You can build muscle and burn fat on way less than 500 grams of protein every single day. You do not need that much. So if you are somebody who is very, very overweight, then instead of doing 1 gram of pound per body weight, you would be much better off using your actual lean mass to determine your protein requirements. Because even if you were to go by 1 gram per pound of lean mass, even then it would be very, very high amount of protein. So you don't need to consume more than 1 gram, but if you are going to consume it, there are certain instances when it would be warranted. It's going to all depend on your goal, really, because what is your goal? Do you want to look better, feel better, perform better? Let's say it is your goal to look better. What exactly do you want to do? Do you want to lose fat? Do you want to build muscle, or do you want to do both? Because let's say it is your goal to lose fat. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to calories in versus calories out. There's absolutely no way around that. If you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. If you're in a caloric surplus, you are going to gain weight. And if the amount of calories that you take in is equal to that of your total daily energy expenditure, your weight is going to stay exactly the same. In terms of determining your actual caloric requirements, I made a video months back and it was called How Many Calories Do I Need? I'm going to include a link right up over here so you guys could watch that if you're not sure and you need to figure out how many calories you need. But essentially, you need to be in a caloric deficit if it's your goal to lose weight. And with regard to losing weight, if you find that incorporating higher protein is going to keep you more satiated and you're not going to be hungry all the time, then going above 1 gram is going to accomplish your goal of losing fat if it allows you to stave off hunger and avoid overeating. So if you are somebody that by consuming 1 gram of protein per body weight within your caloric limit that you've set for yourself, you find that it's not enough food for you and you're constantly hungry, and by going more than 1 gram per pound of body weight, you are able to stay satiated and it doesn't cause you to go out on a binge, then go ahead and add a little bit more protein. There's nothing going to be wrong with that. The other thing is going to be, let's say it is your goal to build muscle. When it comes to building muscle, there are two requirements. One, you need some type of external stimulus. That would be in the form of either body weight training, some type of resistance training. And then the second requirement is an adequate amount of protein. And in terms of what exactly is an adequate amount, that is going to depend on how many calories you are consuming, and also whether it is your goal to build muscle while losing weight, maintain your weight, or end up gaining weight. Let's say it is your goal, regardless of what your goal is. If you want to build muscle, your level of muscle protein synthesis needs to exceed your level of muscle protein breakdown. And with regard to protein requirements, it is going to come in a range from anywhere to 0.8 to 1.5 grams a pound per body weight, depending on the number of calories that you are taking in. If it is your goal to build muscle and simultaneously lose weight, then you would want to be closer to the higher end of that range, because when you are in a caloric deficit, your body is naturally going to be in a more catabolic state. And when you are in a naturally more catabolic state, your protein requirements are going to be a lot higher. Whereas if it is your goal to build muscle and you don't mind gaining weight, then you could be at the closer end of that range, closer to that 0.8, because when you are in a caloric surplus, your body is naturally going to be in a more anabolic state. When your body is in a naturally more anabolic state, your protein requirements are not quite as high. I actually made a video about this months back, and it was a Fitness Myths Debunked video. It was called You Can't Build Muscle and Burn Fat at the Same Time. And spoiler alert, you can do both of those at the same time. I'll include a link right up over here if you haven't seen it. But that's pretty much the key takeaway from that particular video. You want your muscle protein synthesis to exceed your muscle protein breakdown. So if it is your goal to build muscle, if you are in a caloric deficit, then you would definitely want to get more than 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you are in a caloric surplus because you want to gain weight, then you would want to get closer to that 0.8. And if it is your goal to just maintain your weight and you want to build a little bit of muscle, then somewhere around that 1 gram per pound of body weight is going to be ideal. Let's say that you don't really care about looking better, you're happy with the way that you look, but you want to feel better. Well, with regard to feeling better, you're going to have to experiment with different protein to fat ratios, because some people are going to feel better on lower protein. Some people are going to feel better on higher protein. Myself, I feel my best when I am consuming a moderate protein and a very high fat diet. Anywhere from 70 to 80% of my calories coming from fat is where I feel my absolute best. So if you are somebody like me, then consuming more than 1 gram per pound of body weight, depending on how much above that 1 gram per pound you are, it may not be the most effective. I brought this up a while back in another video, but I'm going to say it again. When it comes to experimenting with different protein to fat ratios, try doing 1 week of 25-75 with regard to 25% protein, 75% calories coming from fat. You could try 1 week doing a 50-50 split. Try 1 week doing 25% of your calories from protein and 75% coming from fat. Do all of those different splits and keep a food log with you and see what exactly makes you feel better. Do you feel better when 75% of your calories are coming from fat? Do you feel better when 50%, when 25%? If it is your goal to feel better, you want to see what makes you feel your best. So don't pay attention to macros, don't pay attention to calories, none of that stuff. If it is simply your goal to feel better, track the food that you're eating, the different types of ratios, and see if you feel better on higher fat or higher protein. With regard to high fat versus high protein, it's going to be different on an individual to individual basis because everybody's physiology is going to be a little bit different. There are basically 3 main enzymes when it comes to breaking down proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. There are many more than that, but the 3 broad categories of enzymes, digestive enzymes, are going to be your proteases, your amylases, and your lipases. Proteases are going to help your body to digest proteins. Lipases, LIP, fat. So lipases are going to be the digestive enzyme that helps you to digest your fats. And then amylases are going to be the digestive enzyme that helps you to break down your carbohydrates. Let's say you are somebody that you are not producing a sufficient amount of proteases. For somebody that doesn't produce a lot of protease enzymes in their body naturally, then consuming a lot of protein may not be the best strategy for that type of individual, because if you are consuming a lot of protein, you're not going to have the enzymes required to break down the protein that you are consuming. Whereas somebody whose body naturally produces a sufficient amount of proteases, they can get away with consuming a much higher protein diet because their body has everything that it needs to be able to break down the protein that you are consuming. And let's say that you are somebody who you don't produce a lot of proteases and you still want to consume more protein because you find that protein is a lot more satiating for you and it allows you to stave off hunger and you're not constantly hungry throughout the entire day. What you could do in that case is experiment with some either digestive enzymes or HCl. A lot of people are going to be deficient in HCl, which is hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is a natural substance that your body produces, and whenever you consume protein, hydrochloric acid is going to be secreted in order to break down and digest all of those different amino acids found in the actual protein. So if you are somebody where your body does not secrete enough proteases, or if your body does not secrete enough HCl, then consuming either an HCl supplement or some type of protease enzyme would be beneficial for you. And then what if it is not your goal to look better or feel better? Let's say you're an athlete, or if you're someone who's really into sports and it is your goal to perform better. Well, when it comes to performance, you pretty much want to do the same thing. You want to experiment with different ratios of protein to fat and see which one makes you perform at your best. So you could do a 25-75 split between protein and fat. You could do a 50-50, and then you could do a 75-25 with regard to 75% protein, 25% fat. Keep a food journal and see which one makes you perform at your best. Also keep a training log. Depending on the sport, there are 8 biomotor abilities required for athletic performance. Those are going to be strength, speed, power, endurance, flexibility, agility, coordination, and balance. So whatever biomotor ability is most required by your particular sport, keep a training log, and with regard to those different protein to fat ratios, see which one improves your performance the best. Let's say you are a strength athlete. Every single time you do a workout, do you find that whenever you consume too much protein, you're more sluggish and you just are unable to perform in the gym and you're getting weaker? If so, then maybe incorporate a little bit more fat. Same thing with, let's say you are a speed athlete. If you are a speed athlete, do you find that consuming a lot of protein makes you a lot more sluggish and slow? If so, try incorporating a little bit more fat. Maybe you are a power athlete and like an Olympic lifter, and you find that consuming protein really gets you a lot more explosiveness in your lifts, in which case higher protein would be beneficial. But you want to experiment with those different things. So try the different ratios, keep a food journal, see how exactly you're feeling, what makes you perform at your best, and then also keep a training log. And then that way, by keeping a training log, you can keep track of every single thing that you do in the gym. You could see if your strength is increasing, your speed, if you're getting faster, if your endurance is improving, if your power is, you're able to generate a lot more power. Are Are you becoming more flexible, more agile? Do you have better coordination? Is your balance improved? Find which ratio is going to improve the athletic requirements that are required most by your particular sport. And then whatever you find improves your athletic performance the most, stick with that ratio. I know that for me, it's somewhere around that 70 to 80% fat and only 20 to 30% of protein. That is when I feel my absolute strongest. That's when I'm most powerful. And even more importantly, beyond all of that, aside from feeling my strongest and feeling more powerful on that 70-30 split, I feel my best in terms of my digestion. And for me, feeling better is more important than how my performance is, because I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis back in 2010. So anything I can do to make me feel better is going to be very important. When I was younger, I was a lot more focused on performing better and also looking better. Whereas now, ever since I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, I take my health a lot more seriously. So for me, what I do is I do my protein requirements based off of what makes me feel my best. But those are just some things that you could do. If you want to look better, then if it is your goal to lose fat, what allows you to be in a calorie deficit the easiest? If high protein allows you to be in a calorie deficit easier than low protein, then consume high protein. If it is your goal to build muscle, if you're in a calorie deficit, you want more protein. If you're in a calorie surplus, you don't require quite as much. If it is your goal to feel better, keep a food log, see what ratios of protein to fat make you feel your best. If it is your goal to improve performance, keep a training log, keep a food log, track the different ratios of protein to fat, see what improves your performance the best. But those are just a few little tricks that you could use to determine your protein requirements. That's pretty much it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button so I know to make more of these types of videos in the future. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, as I will be uploading new videos every single day. That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow.